Hello, hello, hello. I hope this is a wonderful day for you. I am just so grateful and so thankful because God has blessed us to live to see another day that I can come to you and that I can share with you what the Lord has blessed me to be able to find, to be able to share with you. It's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. And today I'm asking a question. Are you waiting for the other shoe to drop, or are you living, or are you living in the present? And so those are two different things: living in the present and waiting for the next shoe to drop. So let's go right into that, and I'm going to get my monitor up here. Let me get my monitor here. Make sure I have it all working here. I want to make sure that everything is good here, and I just push something and it just. So I'm going to make sure I get this up here because I want to make sure that you can hear me and that you can see me. It is such a blessing and such a privilege to be able to come to you today. And I know that my sound is coming through. I'm not seeing my live webcast on my monitor. I don't know what's going on with it, but I'm still going to go right ahead because I do believe that you can hear me and that you do see me. So there it is. So let me make sure I don't want my sounds conflicting. Okay, there we go. Now, are you living in the present, or are you waiting on the next shoe to drop? And what does it mean by waiting on the next shoe? I say next shoe. Some say waiting on the other shoe to drop, but it all means the same thing. So let me go here. And it was talking, I was looking at that, and it was saying that waiting on the other shoe to drop, it means that, like, if someone is coming off, they're taking their shoe off, and then maybe the neighbors or the ones in the house can hear you drop that shoe on the floor, and then they're waiting. They know there's a second shoe, and they're waiting on that one to drop. So I'm going to go ahead and read what this is saying about waiting on the next shoe to drop, waiting on the other shoe. There's so much about this, but I have my sites pulled up here. Waiting for the other shoe to drop, the origin of it. This is a seemingly murky but actually straightforward idiom. When someone is asking or taking off, let me do my font here so I can make sure that I'm seeing what I'm reading. All right, let me make sure of that. Okay, there it is. So it's a seemingly murky but actually straightforward idiom. When someone is taking off their shoe or boots, they tend to drop them on the floor. When one shoe drops, the other will inevitably follow. This expression probably has its origin in boarding or rooming houses of the early 1900s, where residents were crowded into multiple tiny rooms and the walls were thin, or from multi floor apartment dwellings in cities like New York and Chicago, where one tenant's bedroom was always directly underneath another. So, talking about waiting on the other shoe or waiting on the next shoe to drop. So, when someone came home and took off their shoes, it would be normal to hear a thud when one shoe dropped, and then a second thud when the other shoe dropped. You can imagine that when someone came home, perhaps a worker with heavy boots, they would sit on their bed or chair and take off their footwear. They take off their first shoe and let it drop to the floor where it makes quite a loud noise. Now imagine that the residents in other rooms hear the shoe drop, knowing exactly what it is. They then wait for the other shoe to drop. The resident, though perhaps realizing what a loud noise he just made, places a second boot softly on the floor instead of dropping it. This leaves the other residents anticipating a noise that doesn't come, but they keep waiting, not wanting to be caught unaware and startled. All right, waiting for the other shoe to drop. So let's just get right on into that. And so in life, in this life, we know that we don't know. One thing we can be sure of is that we don't know what's going to happen within the next second, the millisecond, microsecond, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. We have no control over it. So, talking about living in the present. So, what we're going to do is talk about the next shoe dropping and then talk about living in the present because we're unsure of what's going to happen within the next micro, milli, nano, picosecond. So let's live for now, for right now. So many people are worrying about what's going to happen next, and that's a human nature. We don't know what's going to happen, and we're always are maybe expecting something tragic to happen because we've gone through so much in our lives. So, waiting on the next shoe drop, or are you living in the present? So, we're going to talk about those today. We're going to talk about those today, and I'm in psychology today. Uh, and let's see, where else am I? In psychology today, and I think I'm in a new site, which is uh, hmm, Jane Philip Philippin. Okay, why anticipating anxiety is waiting for the other shoe to drop. We're going to do that. Then we're going to go over to waiting for the other shoe to drop, transitioning from chaos to calm. And that is mindset wizardry. And then we have another piece here that I want to present also in psychology today, and it's entitled, I hope you're doing very well today. I am doing very well, and I'm thankful. My sinuses they're not uh, draining as much as they have been. My nasal passages are clearer, and thank the Lord, and more open than they were. So I am just so happy about that. We know that something has to happen sometime or another, and I will not complain because God has blessed me, and I thank Him for the portion of health and strength that He has given me, my mindset, and given me the energy, the strength, given me the will to do the things that He has blessed me to do. And I am so thankful for that. I'm thankful for you too because He's doing the same for you. And always remember that you can live in the present. Don't let the past and anticipation of the future keep you from living in the present and living a good life. The art of now, 6 steps to living in the moment. So let me go back to the others that I want to present to you. I'm going to get those. I'm not going to do the anxiety right now. Okay. Oh, I am so excited about this, and I am just like I say, I'm so happy that I'm able to present these to you. I know some people already know this. I know that, but there are some people who don't know it. They don't have time to do the research and look up these things for themselves. Some people don't know that they're going through these phases. They don't know what to call it. They don't know what it is. They just know that things are happening in their lives. They're hurt and anxious. They don't know what to do about it. But when you know what's going on, when you have a gist of what's going on, and then have some suggestions to be able to cope with it, that makes it better. Now, it does for me. It does for me. It makes life uh, better for me. And I thank God because I've learned through the years, and I am yet learning. Okay, so this is Mindset Wizardry, and this is June the 12th, written by Debbie Seholster. Okay, Debbie Seholster. Waiting for, and Debbie, if I'm mispronouncing your name, please forgive me, okay? Waiting for the other shoe to drop, transitioning from chaos to calm, okay? Transitioning from chaos to calm. Talking about waiting for the other shoe to drop. If you've been following, there's a blog, okay, and I haven't followed this blog because today is the first day that I've even known about this site, but I'm glad I know now. I'm very glad. But it said, even if you've been following our blog, you know that I've been living in a VUCA, and this is what I really like about this. This VUCA, what she was saying, VUCA world for the last year and a half. VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, is the perfect acronym to describe the whirlwind of unpredictability I experienced this is the writer talking, okay? She said, my return to the U.S. from Brazil has brought an unexpected sense of calm. I'm no longer under constraint, constant stress. I can think clearly and focus. However, as I start making significant life decisions, like figuring out where to live, I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. This feeling is common when emerging from a VUCA storm, being in crisis made be, mode, excuse me, being in crisis mode becomes such an automatic response that our minds struggle to adapt to a newfound sense of stability. So here are three signs, three, one, two, three signs that your mind hasn't caught up with your new, calmer reality, and how you can shift your mindset to recognize what's happening and stay in a more normal, productive state. And this is good. I'm excited about this. Persistent anxiety about future uncertainty. This morning I read from one of the people that friended me on Facebook. So we're Facebook friends, but we've known each other for years. We used to fellowship together when Ella Davis was the superintendent. And she was saying that she was at the hospital because she was stressed, And I just sent her a message and said, I'm praying. And that's what we can do. Just pray, because we can't physically do anything. We can't be there, but we can pray. And I believe that God hears our prayers, and I hope she's doing better. But there are persistent anxiety about future uncertainty, and we just don't know what's going to happen. We just don't know, okay? Sign. Despite the calm, you find yourself constantly anxious about potential negative outcomes. That's for real. Shift. Reframe your thinking. So when you're always thinking, and there are some people who are paranoid, they can't have peace, they can't have rest because they're so afraid of what is going to happen. They're so afraid that the next shoe is going to drop any picosecond. So the sign of it is, now she said, this is what she said, persistent anxiety about future uncertainty. So she's going to help us out here. And she said she just came out of this VUCA storm. What does VUCA mean? It means volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. She said she just came out of that, transitioning from one country to another. She said, despite the calm, you find yourself constantly anxious about potential negative outcomes. And then how do you shift that? Reframe your thinking. How do you shift it? Reframe your thinking. And that can be a handful right there. Practice mindfulness. Engage in mindfulness exercises to stay present. When you catch your mind spiraling into what if scenarios, gently bring your focus back to the here and now. And she's recommended some apps like Headspace or Calm can guide you through the process. Taking a walk is another thing that works for her, she's saying. Cognitive reappraisal, actively reinterpret negative scenarios instead of thinking, what if everything goes wrong? Ask yourself, what if everything goes right? This subtle shift can have a profound impact on your mental state. These sound simple, don't they? But they can work. What if something wrong happens? What if something right happens? Change your mindset, reframe your mindset, reframe your thinking. When you have the inability to enjoy the present, here's a sign of the inability to enjoy the present. And some may think this is extreme because you might have it all made and everything. Like Mother Stella Watson said one time in the uh, uh, state meeting, she said some people think they're all that and a bag of potato chips. Maybe some people are all that, have all that, and they have a bag of potato chips and they're doing just fine. But there are so many of us out here that need this information. So many of us. But if you're doing great, I am so happy. So happy for you. But for those who are struggling and need some help, this is for us. Inability to enjoy the present. The sign of this is you find it difficult to enjoy your current stability and happiness because you're waiting for something to go wrong. And how do you shift it? Practice gratitude. Practice gratitude. Be thankful for the here and now. Be thankful for right now. Okay? Daily gratitude journaling. This is one thing you can do. Spend 5 minutes each morning or evening thinking about or writing down the three things you're grateful for. This can help train your brain to focus on the positives rather than anticipating negatives. It can help you. It can help you. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. I know. Okay? Celebrate small wins. Take time to acknowledge and celebrate even the small victories in your day. This can help build a positive feedback loop and reinforce a sense of accomplishment and contentment. Oh, yes, it can. Now, over planning and overworking is the third uh, of this over planning and overworking. The sign of that is you overplan and overwork as a way to control your environment and mitigate potential crisis. So, how do you shift from doing that? You set boundaries and prioritize self care. You know, I express on many occasions that you need to take care of yourself, that we need to take care of ourselves first. Self care, and then we can help care for someone else. It's just a fact, okay? So set boundaries and prioritize self care. Thank you for being with me today. Thank you so much. Limit to do. Limit your to do list. You know, some people have so much stuff to do. You know how I am about people. They always say, I'm busy. I'm just so busy. I'm just so busy. But I tell people, you control your time. You have the authority to control your own schedule. You have that authority, so use it. Use it. Okay? Now, some people love to be busy, and that's great. I'm not criticizing anybody for what you love to do, but you can limit it. You know, some people talk about it. Oh, I'm just so busy. I just so busy. I just got this to do and that to do, and they act like they're complaining. But I guess sometimes they're really boasting. I don't know, but you can limit your to-do list. Okay, so that's what we can do here. Focus on 3 to 5 important tasks each day rather than trying to do everything at once. This prioritization helps prevent burnout and keeps you from slipping back into crisis mode. Then the next thing is schedule downtime. We all need downtime. Every one of us needs some downtime. Treat your downtime with the same importance as work meetings. Schedule breaks, leisure activities, and time with loved ones. This balance is crucial for long term productivity and mental health. It's crucial, okay? Very, very important to you and the people you love, all right? Conclusion. Transitioning from a VUCA environment to a stable one is a process that requires conscious effort. Recognize the signs that your mind is still in crisis mode and take deliberate steps to shift your mindset. By reframing your thinking, practicing gratitude, and setting healthy boundaries, you can fully embrace your new reality and thrive in a state of calm and focus. Okay? Remember, the other shoe doesn't have to drop, and you have the power to create a new, balanced norm for yourself. How about that? This is Debbie Seholster. I'm going to say it like that. It's Sehulster. Okay? All right. Thank you, Debbie. That was wonderful. This is Mindset Wizardry. This is the site, Mindset Wizardry. Let's go to our next piece here. Oh, my goodness. Why anticipatory anxiety is like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Why it's waiting for the other shoe to drop. And the site I told you a few minutes ago, but I want to go back here and get the name of this site, which is Janet Philbin, LCSW. Okay, Janet Philbin, LCSW, and it's just janetphilbin.com. Okay, Janet, Janet, Philbin, Philbin. All right, this is her site. So let's go on down and get into why anticipatory anxiety is like waiting for the other shoe to drop. Waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm trusting and praying that someone is going to be helped by this webcast, by the information that I'm relaying to you. These people have done the research, they've written it out for us, and they are giving us some examples of how we can overcome that anxiety, how we can live in the present. Live in the present. So many people are wondering, well, what's going to happen next? Like I said, they're just in a state of severe anxiety, and they just don't know what to do. Some people don't do anything because they don't know what's going to happen next, so they just are in a state of depression. And there's some people that, like we say, in bad shape in this world. And I want to do whatever I can to help someone. And as I help others, I'm helping myself too. I'm helping myself too. How many times have you heard the phrase, waiting for the other shoe to drop? She said, I know I have said it many times. That phrase has its origin in the tenements of New York City. The story goes that at the turn of the century, apartments were built with bedrooms on top of one another. It was common to hear your upstairs neighbor take off a shoe, drop it, and then repeat the action. In other words, waiting for the sound of the other shoe to hit the floor. It became known as an anticipation for something you knew was coming. So this has now become synonymous with anxiety, specifically anticipatory anxiety. Anticipatory anxiety. According to Psychology Today, about 85% of things that people worry about never happen. You hear that? 85% of things that people worry about never happen. So think about that 85% of us are lost in thought, which creates an emotional experience of worry, anxiety, or fear about something that will never happen. So this is why this came about. I was watching some show. It could have been I think it was a show, and they mentioned the girl was with her psychiatrist, the lady was, and she was mentioning, it just seems like the other shoe is going to drop any time now. And so this is it. It said, "Oh yes," because I think I've talked about this before. I think with Cleaster, Eula, and Maritha, I think I talked about this. So think about that. 85% of us are lost in thought, which creates an emotional experience of worry, anxiety, or fear about something that will never happen. That uses a lot of emotional and physical energy. It can leave you feeling exhausted, sad, confused, unable to take action steps to move forward in your life, and feeling disconnected from the things that can bring you joy. It can just mess you up. We've seen so many people, heard about so many people who are depressed and anxious. Oh, it's so many conditions are happening out here in this world because they don't know what's going to happen next. They expect something bad to happen anytime. And so they're just in a frenzy all of the time. So we want to help who we can while we can, okay? And you feel disconnected from things that can bring you joy. So it may even create the need to turn away from feelings because they are so painful, which can lead to all types of addiction and distractions. So she said, what I have come to understand through working with my clients is that this type of anticipatory fear is actually held in our cellular memory. That means that the painful memory from a past event is so strong that the energy and the physical feeling you experienced from that event actually gets lodged in your body. Not just the mind, but in your body. And we all have experienced some things, and some of us over and over again. But thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God for the present. Thank you. Thank you, God, for the present. Actually, it gets lodged in your body. So when a memory is lodged in the body, the result may be that every time you feel, experience, go through, or anticipate an event that is similar to the original painful memory, your body reacts with the same response. The fear you hold onto rises to the top, and you get stuck in the cycle of fear and anxiety. This is some serious business. This is serious, isn't it? Thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I see Overseer Don. I love you. Thank you so much for being with me. And whoever else is there with me, whoever else is here, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I ask you to please share this. Please share this. You respond from a place a fear that was trapped in your body. Listen to this. You respond in a place of fear, a fear that was trapped in your body. As a clinician, she's talking now. She's a licensed clinician. As a clinician and as a hypnotherapist, she says, I understand this with a unique perspective. First, through the lens of polyvagal theory, and the second, through the lens of the subconscious mind. And there's a polyvagal theory, okay? Now, polyvagal theory takes us through the experience of the autonomic nervous system and its three predictable pathways of response. These are ventral vagal, sympathetic, and dorsal vagal. Okay? Ventral vagal, sympathetic vagal, and dorsal vagal. Now, each pathway has unique adaptive responses to help us survive. See, it's just so amazing at how God made us. He made us in his own image and his likeness. And he put all of this in us, in our bodies, made us resilient, made us able to take things in this body and in this mind that we would never have imagined that we would have to take, that would come upon us, and we still survive mentally and physical. And all of these nerves, all of these survival uh, pathways in our system, in our body, in the nervous system, even. The autonomic nervous system. And there are three predictable pathways of response to this. And she said they're ventral vagal, there's sympathetic, and there's dorsal vagal. Isn't that something we're learning a lot today, huh? Okay, each pathway has unique adaptive responses to help us survive. What did we talk about? Tuesday was, uh, let me see, coming from a victim to a survivor to a thriver. And look at this. This is physical right here. Each pathway has unique adaptive responses to help us survive. We interpret these responses through neuroception. Neuroception is our ability to detect what is going on in our environment. This happens without conscious awareness, just like we are not consciously aware of how often we blink. It just happens. So that's a good example, isn't it? So when we're detecting what is happening in our environment, we are always assessing for cues of safety and cues of danger. Based on our interpretation of the cue, either safety or danger, we respond from one of the three pathways of the autonomic nervous system. When we are in ventral vagal, we are experiencing safety and connection. Hear that? When we are in sympathetic, we are in a mobilized fight flight state. When we are in dorsal vagal, we are in a state of immobilization, conserving our energy and resources. This is wonderful. I like this. So, keeping polyvagal theory in mind, let's move on to understanding why we are waiting for the other shoe to drop from the perspective of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind has no sense of time. It does not know the difference between real and imagination, and it reacts from old programming until those old programmed messages are healed. When it comes to the emotional experience of anxiety, this is something that is experienced when our sympathetic system is activated. Now, talking about anxiety, what is anxiety? Anxiety is an emotion. It is an emotion. Anxiety is an emotion. We interpret a physical sensation we feel in the body and label it anxiety or maybe fear. We are activated in some way. If the sensation feels like a tightness in the chest, we immediately interpret that as a cue of danger. This happens because we learned a long time ago, maybe as a child, that every time my parents fight, I get scared, my chest gets tight, and I am anticipating something really bad may happen next. I thank God I never ever had to experience that with my parents fighting. But I have experienced some things that make my chest tight, okay? Next, it does not matter if something really bad happened or not. The body now has a cellular memory of a tight chest, and this is connected to the strong emotions. The sympathetic system is activated, and you are in fight or flight. Do you stay in fight or do you run? Okay? You learned to experience anticipatory anxiety every time you get this feeling of a tightness in the chest. Since the subconscious mind has no sense of time, you respond to the event in front of you with the same or very similar coping skills you developed when you were young. Now, as an adult, every time the sympathetic system is active, you experience this anticipatory anxiety. It is interpreted as a cue of danger. The shoe is about to drop. What if you were able to change this perception? That's a good question. What if you were able to change this perception? This is nice, isn't it? This is nice. This is for somebody on this day. This day could be 30 years from now, but it's for you. Whoever it is for is coming for you. And this is going to help you like you never ever thought you could ever be helped. Okay? So, what if you still felt that feeling in your chest, but did not have to automatically jump into your imagination and go into all of the stories of a bad outcome? What if the feeling in your chest was just a message to you to pay attention to yourself for a moment or two? It is an invitation to tune into what you are internally experiencing. Slow down to carefully assess the situation. Imagine that the tight feeling did not mean something bad was going to happen, but instead means you can have a positive outcome in this situation. Now, the next part of this is you can be in charge of how you respond. We have to understand this. We can be in charge of how we respond, and this can be in all aspects of life. We can be in charge of how we respond. It is possible what you are anticipating is a good thing, And when you get that feeling in your chest, it means to be excited about the next event and not scared. You have the power to change your response. You have the power to change your thoughts. So here are some steps to take on how to do this. How do you change power and thought? Take that power, change those thoughts, okay? Number one, when you feel that physical feeling in your body, stop and pause. Number two, take a breath in, let the exhale be longer than the inhale. All right? Number three, take a few of these breaths, being sure when you inhale, you are taking deep abdominal breaths so you can feel your belly rise up each time you inhale. Number four, notice how the physical feeling in the body begins to shift or become alleviated as you breathe this way. Number five, become aware of your physical body. Feel your feet on the floor, your body in your chair. Take note of the time, day, what clothes you are wearing. Reorient yourself to the present moment. This is good. This is really good. Number six, talk to yourself by asking questions like, what is the truth of the situation right now? What are the real possible outcomes? What is the best outcome? What is the worst? Number seven, you are empowered to choose how you approach the situation. You are empowered to choose how you approach the situation. Will you approach it from the perspective of the worst outcome or the best? Number eight, you get to choose the way you respond. I'm going to repeat that. You get to choose the way you respond. What emotional and physical energy do you want to bring to the situation? Number nine, take another breath and notice the shift within you. 10, now you can move forward and choose to interpret that feeling in your chest differently. Now it gets to mean to stop, pause, pay attention, and choose you. You hear that? Stop, pause, pay attention, and choose you. I like that. So when you step into the empowered self by choosing you, you are letting yourself know you are safe. You are in charge of how you respond. You are here in this present moment, not 5, 10, or 30 years ago in the past. You're here now in this present moment. Get that. Let it sink in. You no longer need to imagine bad outcomes with anticipatory anxiety of a shoe dropping. In fact, you get to move into a new space where you do not have to hear the shoe drop at all. Oh my goodness, this is so good. And I am finished with this one. I mean, this is wonderful. JanetPhilbin.com. All right, I'm going right into the next one, which is Psychology Today. Psychology Today. Now, the art of now. The art of now. 6 steps to living in the moment. We live in the age of distraction. Yes, we do. You know that. It's a fact. Always something coming through to try to distract us. We live in the age of distraction. Yet one of life's sharpest paradoxes is that your brightest future hinges on your ability to pay attention to the present. I like that. I like that. Okay. And this is by Jay Dixon, published November the 1st, 2008. And it was last reviewed on the 9th of June in 2016, but we're doing it today on this day, which is September, what is this, the 19th, 2024. September 19th, 2024. A friend was walking in the desert when he found the telephone to God. Good story. I like this, okay? The setting was Burning Man, an electric arts and music festival for which 50,000 people descend on Black Rock City, Nevada for 8 days of radical self expression, dancing, socializing, meditating, and debauchery. Okay? A phone booth in the middle of the desert with a sign that said, "Talk to God," was a surreal sight even at Burning Man. The idea was that you picked up the phone and God, or someone claiming to be God, would be at the other end to ease your pain. That's quite an idea, isn't it? My goodness. So when God came on the line asking how he could help you, my friend was ready. "How can I live more in the moment?" he asked. Too often he felt the beautiful moments of his life were drowned out by a cacophony of self consciousness and anxiety. What could he do to hush the buzzing in his mind? "Breathe," replied a soothing male voice. My friend flinched at the tired New Age mantra, then reminded himself to keep an open mind. When God talks, you listen. Whenever you feel anxious about your future or your past, just breathe. See, remember in the last article it said inhale and exhale longer than you inhale. Breathe, okay? So, whenever you feel anxious about your future or your past, just breathe. Continue. It says God, but whoever was on the other end of the phone, try it with me a few times right now. Breathe in, breathe out. And despite himself, my friend began to relax. You are not your thoughts. This is the second session of this Psychology Today article. You are not your thoughts. Remember that. You are not your thoughts. That's what messes so many people's lives up because they become their thoughts. And there are terrible consequences in the negative. And then in the positive, there are great positive consequences, okay? Good ones, okay? You are not your thoughts, all right? So we're looking at this. It said life unfolds in the present, but so often we let the present slip away, allowing time to rush past, unobserved and unseized, and squandering the precious seconds of our lives as we worry about the future and ruminate about what's past. We are living in a world that contributes in a major way to mental fragmentation, disintegration, distraction, decoherence, says Buddhist scholar B. Alan Wallace. Remember, we talked about disintegration? That was on Tuesday. That was in the article. My goodness. See, this is why I'm so happy because I know that this is guided by the Holy Spirit, and I thank God for using me in this way. We're always doing something, and we allow little time to practice stillness and calm. When we're at work, we fantasize about being on vacation. On vacation, we worry about the work piling up on our desks. We dwell on intrusive memories of the past or fret about what may or may not happen in the future. We don't appreciate the living present because our monkey minds, as Buddhists call them, vault from thought to thought like monkeys swinging from tree to tree. You always get something, learn something new, huh? Most of us don't undertake our thoughts in awareness. Rather, our thoughts control us. Ordinary thoughts course through our mind like a deafening waterfall, writes John Kabat-Zinn, the biomedical scientist who introduced mediation into mainstream medicine. That's not mediation, that's meditation. All right, let me get that sentence again. Ordinary thoughts course through our mind like a deafening waterfall, writes John Kabat-Zinn, the biomedical scientist who introduced meditation into mainstream medicine. In order to feel more in control of our minds and our lives, to find the sense of balance that eludes us, we need to step out of this current, to pause, and, as Kabat-Zinn puts it, to rest in stillness, to stop doing and focus on just being. How about that? Stop doing and focus on just being. So we need to live more in the moment. We need to live more in the moment. Living in the moment, also called mindfulness, is a state of active, open, intentional attention on the present. When you become mindful, you realize that you are not your thoughts. You hear that? When you become mindful, when I become mindful, when we become mindful, we realize that we are not our thoughts. I saw on just TikTok, you know how uh, you might be looking for something on your phone, and then TikTok might pop up, and there's a site on there where this young lady's mother has dementia. And so she chronicles on TikTok the phases that she's going through with her mother, going through this dementia. And today she was telling her mother, I don't know, I think her mother's seeing something in her room, and she was telling her that that does not exist. That does not exist. Okay? So when you become mindful, you realize you are not your thoughts. You become an observer of your thoughts from moment to moment without judging them. Mindfulness involves being with your thoughts as they are, neither grasping at them nor pushing them away. Being in your thoughts as they are, okay? Instead of letting your life go by without living it, you awaken to experience. Cultivating a non judgmental awareness of the present bestows a host of benefits. Mindfulness reduces stress, boosts immune functioning, reduces chronic pain, lowers blood pressure, and helps patients cope with cancer. How about that? Now, this is psychology today, okay? Psychology today. By alleviating stress, spending a few minutes a day actively focusing on living in the moment reduces the risk of heart disease. Mindfulness may even slow the progression of HIV. Now remember, this was in 2008, this article was written, but I believe it, I believe it, I believe it, I believe it. Mindful people are happier, more exuberant, more empathetic, and more secure. They have higher self esteem and are more accepting of their own weaknesses. More accepting of their own weaknesses. Each one of us has something that we can define as a weakness. And when we can accept those, then we know how to deal with them, don't we? Thank you for being here with me. They have higher self-esteem, and are more accepting of their own weaknesses. Anchoring awareness in the here and now reduces the mind that reduces the kinds of impulsivity and reactivity that underlie depression, binge eating, and attention problems. I want to do that sentence again. Anchoring awareness in the here and now reduces the kinds of impulsivity and reactivity that underlie depression, binge eating, and attention problems. Mindful people can hear negative feedback without feeling threatened. They fight less with their romantic partners and are more accommodating and less defensive. As a result, mindful couples have more satisfying relationships. Mindfulness is at the root of Buddhism, Taoism, and many Native American traditions, not to mention yoga. It's why Thoreau went to Walden Pond. It's what Emerson and Whitman wrote about in their essays and poems. Everyone agrees it's important to live in the moment, but the problem is how, says Ellen Langer, a psychologist at Harvard and author of Mindfulness. When people are not in the moment, they're not there to know that they're not there. Isn't this amazing? This is so amazing. When people are not in the moment, they are not there to know that they're not there. I think I've talked about this book before. I think I've run across that title before. Overriding the distraction reflex and awakening to the present takes intentionality and practice. Overriding the distraction reflex and awakening to the present takes intentionality and practice. Living in the moment involves a profound paradox. You can't pursue it for its benefits. All right? That's because the expectation of reward launches a future oriented mindset which subverts the entire process. Instead, you just have to trust that the rewards will come. There are many paths to mindfulness, and at the core of each is a paradox. Ironically, letting go of what you want is the only way to get it. So here's a few tricks to help you along. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. Number one, to improve your performance, stop thinking about it. That's unself consciousness. Okay. I've never felt comfortable on a dance floor. My movements feel awkward. I feel like people are judging me. I never know what to do with my arms. I want to let go, but I can't because I know I look ridiculous. Loosen up. No one's watching you. People always say everyone's too busy worrying about themselves. So how come they always make fun of my dancing the next day? The dance world has a term for people like me, absolute beginner, which is why my dance teacher, Jessica Hayden, the owner of Chakra Studio in Manhattan, stated at the beginning, sitting me down on a bench and having me tap my feet to the beat as Jay-Z thumped away in the background. We spent the rest of the class doing isolations, moving just our shoulders, ribs, or hips to build body awareness. But even more important than body awareness, Hayden said, was present moment awareness. Be right here, right now. She'd say, just let go and let yourself be in the moment. That's the first paradox of living in the moment. Thinking too hard about what you're doing actually makes you do worse. And that's for real, isn't it? If you're in a situation that makes you anxious, giving a speech, introducing yourself to a stranger, dancing, focusing on your anxiety tends to heighten it. When I say, be here with me now, I mean don't zone out or get too in your head. Instead, follow my energy, my movement, says Hayden. Focus less on what's going on in your mind and more on what's going on in the room, less on your mental chatter and more on yourself as part of something. To be most myself, I needed to focus on things outside myself, like the music or the people around me. Indeed, mindfulness blurs the line between self and other, explains Michael Kernis, a psychologist at the University of Georgia. When people are mindful, they're more likely to experience themselves as part of humanity, as part of a greater universe. That's why highly mindful people, such as Buddhist monks, talk about being one with everything. Now, I'm not teaching Buddhism, don't get that twisted, but this is great information, isn't it? So, by reducing self consciousness, mindfulness allows you to witness the passing drama of feelings, social pressures, even of being esteemed or disparaged by others without taking their evaluations personally, explained Richard Ryan and K.W. Brown of the University of Rochester. When you focus on your immediate experience without attaching it to your self esteem, unpleasant events like social rejection or your so called friends making fun of your dancing seem less threatening. Focusing on the present moment also forces you to stop overthinking. Being present minded takes away some of that self evaluation and getting lost in your mind. And in your mind is where we make the evaluations that beat us up, says Stephen Schuler, a psychologist at the University of Pennsylvania. Instead of getting stuck in your head and worrying, you can let yourself go. Now, number two, I don't know how much more of this I have to go through, but I am going to, I don't like to encroach on your time. I don't like to do that, but I will, God willing, will finish this, and I probably will just do my podcast and just go ahead and finish it. Okay, I love you so much, and you enjoy the remainder of your day. I thank you so much. I just don't like to go over the time that I have set, but I am going to finish this. Like I said, God willing. I love you so much. So look forward in just a few. Okay. Thank you so much for being with me. You are awesome. Tomorrow, the Mother's Board uh, is God willing. We'll see you then. All right. I love you. Enjoy the remainder of your day. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.